All right, well, season's over. Chat's going crazy right now. Let's get your take. Everyone is in. Everyone's ranting.
Well, listen, I don't want to rage bait or anything, but I just hope that I really hope that the Leagues Cup win doesn't make this okay, right? Because a lot of fans will cope and say that, well, yeah, we didn't make it that far in the playoffs, but we won Leagues Cup, or hey, we won the CONCACAF Champions Cup, so it's okay if we didn't make the playoffs that year. This is a big deal, losing in the first round of Minnesota. And look, I thought I picked Seattle to win this series. I thought they were going to win. Minnesota United obviously was a higher seeded team and a very, very formidable opponent and gave them a good series. But I mean, this is just unacceptable, right? We talk about the Sounders having this standard of being, I get told all the time that, hey, you can't call the Sounders unambitious. You can't say that they're a bad team because they won this year, they won that year. But this team just got bounced in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs.
In a series that they should have won.
In a series they should have won. And also, too, one thing I've told you privately, I say it publicly, is I say that they are paying for past sins. Now, some people are going to say, but Will, Musovski wasn't that bad. But Will, Jordan Morris scored today. Listen to me. They don't have a lethal striker. They don't have that dynamic attacking option. I've been saying this, and I think that the first game of the series, it went to PKs. That was a perfect matchup. That's what Minnesota United wanted.
That was they had to win that first game, in my opinion. That was,
They
it was
had
there for the taking.
to set the tone, right, for the series. And it just shows that this team did not make any signings this summer. Once again, you say this like what, 4 summers in a row, 0 signings. And it
Craig
came back.
Craig Rebels never made a signing in the summer
Never
transfer
made
window.
a signing. And this came back to bite them in the ass. And they got bounced in the first round. Now, there's the rumors. Look, I'm going to be back on with you at some point. I have to leave here in like 3 minutes. So we'll talk about the new, report about them trying to get new people into ownership or get someone to buy a share to give some more investment into the team. But this is unacceptable. They have got to change things holistically, in my opinion, to get the most out of this team and to have them winning again. Guys, they haven't won an MLS Cup in 6 years. Those days are long gone, right? They did make it to the final in 2020 against the Crew and they lost. They haven't won an MLS Cup in 6 years. Something's got to change. They've got to revert back to the way they used to be, where they made these big, ambitious signings, game changers in Major League Soccer, or this is what it's going to be probably on a year-to-year basis. Now, Cheyenne and I get called haters and say that we're, praying for the Sounders' downfall, but what happened this year is probably what should have happened last year, but the Western Conference was ass. And they luckily made it further than they probably should have. The Western Conference isn't as bad as people make it seem it is. And that's what happens. They lose in the first round of the playoffs. They lost to Minnesota United. I don't think Minnesota United is just, this great team, but Seattle just fell flat.
Well, the thing is, too, when you talk about last year's playoffs or this year's, the Sounders advance on 2 PK shootouts. This year, you lose because of 2 PK shootouts. It was...
Yeah, just role reverse, right? Just the opposite. That's what I'm saying. Like, they got lucky last year in a sense. And I do think Will's still in.
Yeah, shout out to Barry for the donation. Schmetzer out, Will still in.
I just think that, love you, Barry, by the way. Sorry about your team. I just think that Schmetzer, I don't want to say that he's the main problem with this. I think it's an organizational thing where their just philosophy is flawed. They don't invest the amount of resources you need to win in Major League Soccer. No one's saying you got to spend $30 million on a player like Atlanta United, but they didn't sign a striker after we got called out. You and me, Cheyenne, got called out several times saying they're not going to sign a desperation striker. They're not going to just go sign anyone. But they didn't sign shit. And it came back to bite them in the ass. And I would like to think, now we can't prove this, right? But I would like to think that if they had signed a number 9 this summer, things could have maybe turned out a little bit differently.
I mean, this series was the battle of no nines. I mean, every Minnesota fan I was talking to was saying if Oluwaseyi, who they sold to La Liga, to a team in La Liga, they said if they had him, this series would have been ice. then there's Sounders fans saying the kind of the same thing. Like if we made that like big summer signing, like we've been needing to, this series could have been iced by us.
Well, also too, the fact that I don't remember who made the comment, but this is true too. They were down 2-0, maybe it was 2-1, and Minnesota only had 10 men. Now, some people say that when you lose a guy, that sometimes it can open things up and actually maybe work in your favor. But I mean, Minnesota United scored 3 unanswered goals, and then obviously Jordan Morris pulled that one back late to send it into penalties. But like my one word, and I have to go, guys. Make sure you stay on here, give this guy a like, and just because the Sounders are out, make sure you're still in on Cheyenne and Rave Green TV. Help the man get to 2,000 subscribers. It's going to be a busy, sad, long off season, and you're not going to miss his content. But I would just say my one, like, I don't want to say it's a one word because it's technically 2 words, but like it's just a shit show. That's how I describe this series. It's a shit show, and I told you they're paying for past sins. And they deserve what they got.
Because
and there's gonna be some people that are gonna spin this and say, "Oh my God, it's not that big of a deal, Will. You can't win every year. You shouldn't be losing in the first round."
Well, then I will add this last point before you leave. To a team that was down 2-1 with 10 men for what, over 60 minutes?
60
That's
minutes.
the thing that annoys me.
Yeah, I agree, and they still
Even
with
in
that
shootout, 2 times you could have won it.
You know, and I'll say this too. This proves to me that even the Leagues Cup win, and I don't want to take it away from anybody because they did win it. A lot of that had to do with where they were playing most of the games, because we've seen on the road, they're frauds. They're frauds. They lost both games on the road. They won the one game at home and lost on the road. And I say that the past sins matter because if they had played better, they played like shit at the beginning of the season. Several draws, several losses, barely any wins in the beginning of the season. They could have had home field advantage in this playoffs. They could have hosted a home. They could have, at least in the first round, had held home field advantage, and they didn't
We
because of how
talked about
bad.
that. A lot of when we did the fan reactions Minnesota, a lot of them were like, "Well, we didn't make top 4, and that's going to be dangerous
Hey,
territory."
last thing I'll say, Andrew Thomas season, Stephen Fry needs to be done. It's Andrew Thomas's team now. Put that man in goal. Let him rock. He was great when Stephen Fry was out. And I think that they need to pass the torch to Andrew Thomas, because someone had mentioned that Thomas is amazing. He needs to be the starting goalkeeper going forward. But listen, I'm going to head out. Appreciate you for having me on. Guys, hang in there. It's going to be a long off season, but listen, here's the good thing. When bad things happen, sometimes big changes are around the corner, and it takes something falling apart to build it back up. So hang in there. Long off season, lots of time to change things around. We'll see what happens.
Appreciate you for coming on, Will. We'll have you on definitely during the off season for one of our videos.
See you guys.
See you later. All right, with one man out, we bring in another great man, and J. Ross, welcome. Sorry about having you on there, but I knew Will could only be here for like 5 minutes, so we were just gonna make his spiel quick. Do you want to get started? Do you want me to get started? I think we'll probably have a pretty. We were the ones that did the preview, and it was funny. It's quite ironic.
Remember I blame you. This is your fault. Your fault.
My fault. That was my fault.
Your fault. What's the freaking preview? I said, do not speak into existence that this is going to PKs, and you just.
To be fair, it looked like we. In all consolation,
your fault, Cheyenne. Your fault.
In all consolation, we were very close to losing. So I would take the shootout than losing in the 90 minutes, because there was still a chance at that point. I guess how do you want to do this live? Guys, first and foremost, shout out to everyone that's here for this live. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. We actually, yesterday, J. Ross, Brody, and I had our plans for what we want to do for the offseason, start prepping for that. We want to do it ahead of time because we assumed we were still going to have a few more weeks at least till then.
Yeah, we thought we'd have a lot more time.
Yeah, but it looks like we're going to have to get started relatively soon. And shout out to J. Ross for making the time to come on, because he wasn't planned to be here. I was planning on running the stream today. So, yeah, how do we want to do this, guys? Do you guys want us to talk about the game, pros, cons, the series? What do you think? And everyone drop a like, as I said, subscribe if you're new to the channel, but
pain. Just pain.
I guess I'll get started and I'll kind of get like, the pot boiling a little bit, start getting the popcorn popping. I mean, as much as maybe we want to blame this on Minnesota's haram ball or this or that, at the end of the day, for this game in particular, there was no reasons for the Sounders not to have won it.
Zero.
Yeah. We were up 2-0. Then, yes, they pull one back, but then they get a red card. They're playing when did Rosales get the red? What, 30, 40th minute?
Dude, we played 60 minutes a man up with a lead. Like, what are we doing?
The crazy part was it's not even like it was 2-2, then we went into the shootout. We were losing. And honestly, Minnesota looked like the better team.
Yeah, 100%. It looked like we were 2 men down for a good portion of that game, which is just insane. And it's just painful. And it was, sorry to keep rambling, but it's go. We should have never been in that spot. Start of that second half, we came out flying to the point where we should have put that game away. Chance after chance we let go away. And this is a problem that we talked about before game 2. And then we talked about it after game 2, how we were amazed that the Sounders were able to avoid doing something like this. And then we were able to pull off something like this. It's so frustrating. It's just this era of Sounders ways to go out.
We actually, we did kind of talk about this in the group chat a little bit. I definitely think subs outside of Thomas were kind of bad. I think we brought on Georgie way too late. I didn't think Rothrock was the first good initial sub to make when we were losing. I think Thomas was the right sub. I think we were all a little bit surprised that he actually made it, because we did talk about it in the preview. If this game goes to a PK shootout, would we want to see Thomas get into the game? And
he proved to be the right sub. I know that he missed the PK, which is
crazy. But you don't expect it to go that far after him saving 2.
Exactly.
He did his job.
100%. 100%.
We had 2 opportunities to win the game in the shoot. That's what I'm saying. We could have won in the 90 minutes. We could have won it in the shootout. And we didn't. We didn't deserve to advance. It was this. I don't know if anyone else here today, we didn't deserve to win this match. And tonight's match reminded me a lot of the 2015 playoff series with FC Dallas. I don't know if many of you remember that, if it was before your time, but it's a lot of shades of similarity. In that second leg, Sounders, yes, it looked like they might have been a little bit down and out, but get the 90th minute goal. It looked like they were going to advance. They threw the game away. You get a second chance in the penalty shootout. You crap the bed in the penalty shootout. That's kind of similar shades to what we saw today. But then the big positive was after 2015, it was the changing of the old guard and incoming to the new guard. Yeah. And I hope we kind of have a look like that.
We could be in a spot too. Like if we sell Obed, get some money, supposedly we have new ownership getting interested. This does have a lot of potential to move into a new era of Sounders, which with how bad this crash out was, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets fast forward a little bit. But let's talk about this PK.
Yeah, that PK was bad.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. It was actually very similar to Leiva's PK. And not in regards to, actually just all of it was. The weird run up off the same exact posts.
Yeah, it was. I'm not going to put, because we shouldn't have been in that spot. That PK should have been retaken, but we shouldn't have been in that spot in the first place. You saw the screenshot that I put in the chat. Sinclair was off his line, but
for which PK was that? Because I couldn't see.
That was Obed's PK.
Oh, but because he didn't save it or anything. Yeah.
They're still supposed to retake it, but that's our fault, right? We shouldn't have been there in the first place. Just put it on frame and we win that game. But
yeah.
So frustrating, dude. And it's just, I don't know what it is with the Sounders. It's so crazy that arguably our biggest moment in club history, arguably winning that first MLS Cup, came from a PK shootout. And yet we're just so bad at PK shootouts, dude.
We remember, shout out to Barry as well for all the member donations. Guys, we're actually dropping our member video question post for you guys to drop your comments for videos on Monday. So to all the new members, make sure to keep your eye out for our community posts that we do for members, where you guys can ask us the questions to do dedicated videos on. So that's going to be a great opportunity for you guys. Yeah. One of our members, I believe it was Curtis Chad, Oklahoma kid. He asked you and Brody, now that it's actually happened, he asked, if we get first rounded, is this season a failure? And so now I want to throw that question back to you. Is the season now have a big damper over it because of losing in the first round? I'll let you go first, and then I'll add on to my points.
In this fashion, yeah. I mean, I think it's weird, because whatever I'm going to say right now is I know it's going to be rash, and I'm going to regret it and not agree with it in like 2 hours.
But that's the point of the live, though. Look at what everyone else is saying.
But right now, yeah, this is a failure. It was like we have one little sliver of light, you know? It's like a whole like black hole with like one little speck of light in the corner, is that we were able to win Leagues Cup, and we were able to, you know, give ourselves a good spot to start at next year with CONCACAF. But outside of that, I mean, CCC was very disappointing this year, how we went out. And then we get bounced in the first round, and it's not even like we had a good regular season. Like, we were the lower seed in the first round of the playoffs too.
Yeah, it was very up and down.
In total, my rash reaction is, yeah, it was a failure. It's a disappointment. And the reason it's a failure and a disappointment is because we were hyping up so much about this squad, how deep it was. And it felt like all the problems we had this year were situations where when you have a deep squad, you shouldn't have that problem. Like, if we have such a deep team, we shouldn't be playing game 3 on the road. That game should have been at home. And so it just feels like a big failure. What are your thoughts? I think I know what you're going to say, but.
Yeah, no. I actually don't think the season's a success. I don't think it's a failure. It's in this weird gray area. And then I'll elaborate on that. Yeah. My problem is it's not because of how I look at the team is. I knew this team was not MLS Cup major trophy ready. But the thing is, my problem is the way Brian, the organization, Weibel talked about this team is we raised our floor. We already have a championship side that can go on to win MLS Cup. We're just raising our floor so we can help make it easier to have home field advantage in the playoffs, to create a good path for ourselves. That's the issue where I see this more so as a failure because of what they said, not because of what I'm saying. I'm saying in regards to what the management, the ownership has said. Hey, this team is ready to win cups. This is an MLS Cup team. But then you get knocked out in the first round by Minnesota that has no playoff history, that came in. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, they play Haram ball. You can throw your toys about it, but came in with a plan, stuck with their plan to the very end, and pulled it off. You can't throw your toys and be like, oh, well, Minnesota played Haram ball. It's stupid. Well, the Haram ball was irrelevant in game 2 because we went out and scored goals and played our game.
Which, but if you're to be fair, hey, pause. We scored goals today and we still sold it. You know what I mean? That's even more disappointing. Like, we 2 games in a row set the blueprint for how to win these games and just took our foot off the gas twice. And we got away with it in game 2. And I really thought we outgrew that going into game 3, and we didn't. We let our foot off the gas and ended up being dominated for a big stretch of the game against a 10-man team who doesn't like to come out of their shell. They didn't even know where they were. They were confused by the fact that they were able to do that.
This is new territory for us.
Yes, exactly. And we just let it happen. Like, and that all happens from taking the foot off the gas when we were up 2-1, which crazy to take our foot off the gas up 2-1 anyway. And we're putting away chances that we should be putting away. Like that Rusnak chance, we got to be finishing that. And there were so many balls in the box where those half chances where we just need to have that little extra bit of hunger, that little extra bit of want. And we just didn't have that. I wouldn't say it's crap class. Those crosses in the box, when it's just someone
you're about to say crap, I thought at first.
Yeah, no. But those balls that slash across the face, that's not even pure class. That's just wanting a little bit. That's just being in the right headspace. And I can't talk because I got nowhere near playing a pro soccer.
I was going to say, maybe does that come with maybe somewhat more bigger game experience, like that aspect of it?
It just felt like a little bit of complacency. And it's so frustrating because you would expect a team that has big game atmosphere to not really have those problems. But when we can't step on the other team's throat when we have the chance to, things like this are going to happen. And that's been proven.
This is a great kid from one of our favorite subscribers. It's Taco Kid. Jackson Reagan, we talked about in our group chat. Insane at penalties. Like, just like, this is total side note. He is immaculate. And it was also kind of goofy. This is, again, small takeaway. Why he was wearing the captain's armband. Super bizarre.
I mean, I kind of get it, but end of the game, who would you had wearing it at the end of the game after Fry went off? Roldan, I guess.
Yeah, I guess Roldan or Rusnak, I guess. Or even Morris.
I think it'd be Roldan than Reagan. It was probably just Fry running off the field and toss it. You know what I mean?
He's just like, here, just fucking take this thing. Let's go. Let's talk a little bit about the players. Since in regards to close off the success failure, for me, I think the season was fine. I know that's so crazy to say. Again, I don't think it's a success. I don't think it's a failure. You're just bummed.
It kind of just happened. It happened. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I'm just gonna.
But the reason why I classify as a failure on paper is because of how the management, how you built this roster, and how you went about the season by the club. You chose not to make any summer signings because you thought this team's good enough to win the cup. Because that's what that is. Every summer you don't make a signing. That is what you're telling fans. You are telling, well, and they also blatantly straight up said it, that this is an MLS Cup winning team. So you not making those summer signings is telling us we don't need to make any big splashes. And you see teams like, let's go with LAFC. They made a ruthless move of getting rid of Giroud, who, again, I don't think was a bad player because he's still scoring goals now that he went back to Europe instantaneously. But we're like, you know what? This isn't going to work out. Let's get rid of this guy and let's bring in Son. And look how much, like, how they went from maybe they could make it through in the playoffs to instant MLS Cup favorites. They are destroying teams now with Son and Bouanga because they took the risk and recognized the problem and made a change for it. And it is a recognized problem that we have all been seeing from the club throughout the last 2 summer transfer windows. We do not have the cojones to be like, you know what, man? You're not a freaking DP. So you're done. We're going to bring in someone else. Like, just come on, have that hunger. That's just my take for that. But let's move on to the players. I think the first one to talk about is Rusnak. I'll give my take on this because I think it's very cut and dry. Rusnak, for me today, his first goal was the first time, in my opinion, in 3 years that was the DP worthy big time moment. I think that's his best ever goal in a Sounder shirt. That goal was sensational. That's what you see from the Suns, the Dankies, the Evander. That was a next level DP worthy moment in a big game to set the tempo. I was like, fuck yes. That's the Rusnak moment. But then Rusnak goes back to being Ghostsnack. And if anyone wants to throw in that emoji as a member, you can. Shout out to Barry for giving the gifted memberships. Misses the sitter to ISO the game to make it 3-1. That's my take with Rusnak. He does the right things, but then he goes back to like the Ghostsnack mode to what gives us the reasoning behind why he guys, remember, Rusnak is the highest paid player on this team. That's my problem with it. He has a class moment there, but you need to be like if he ISO'd the game and scored that tap in, that would have been game over. He would have had his man of the match moment. He got us through DP moment. So that's just my opinion. But you can take the floor with Rusnak now.
No, that's fair. It's hard because I mean he gets such a big moment like that, and Rusnak has been good this year. Like he's been hurt, but he's not been bad. It's just that, like we've said, in the big game, in the big moments when you want your Nico Laderos to shine through, when you want your Raul Ruiz-Diaz to shine through. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here. It just feels like he's kind of been shy of it. And it's so frustrating because he had his moment in that game. He had his big goal, but yet we were able to let our foot off the gas and just be so poor today that the shining moment that we're all going to remember after this game is him missing that sitter. And it sucks because that should have been his moment and he missed that chance. And now that's what we're going to remember from this game.
The big thing with me with Rusnak is I don't think he's a bad player. My only issue is he cannot be the highest paid player for the Sounders in 2025. I'm sorry, but that cannot be the case. When you look at the signings the league is making with designated players. The thing is, the problem is, I know people might say, okay, well, maybe we can buy him down or some shit like that. Rusnak is not going to go from highest paid player to taking a pay cut. The only way you can get him off the DP deal is by selling him or terminating his deal. There's no way you're going to pull off some shit where,
and we're not going to do either of those.
Yeah, which we're not going to, okay, basically, we're not doing any of them anyway. But just for people that are like, oh, well, Rusnak could maybe get off the DP deal. And no, he's not taking a pay cut. Other than Rusnak, because I think he was one of the bigger players to talk about. For you, who are some players to highlight, positive, negative, off the dome for you?
I'm just going to highlight a group. Okay. And it was, I'll say the back line, but the fact that everyone related to MLS, everyone that has watched MLS this year, anyone that has watched 25 seconds of us talking about this series knows that Minnesota lives and dies by the set piece. How are we giving up that third goal to a man wide open?
And he's also not that tall.
But you heard on the broadcast them talking about how he just keeps finding a way to score these goals on set pieces. And even then, their second goal, recycling off a long throw. These are the textbook ways that Minnesota is going to score. And similar to what I said about ball in the box, I know it's so much more difficult than what I'm saying. But a lot of these is just simply wanting it more than the other player. Like that little bit of, I'm going to go win this ball in the big moment. And we are just lacking that. And the fact that we're able to leave a man floating on the back post, wide open, tied 2-2 in a playoff game is so frustrating. Little mental errors. And that is nothing about talent or quality of player. That is purely just mental lapses from the back line. So annoying.
Well, we've talked. See, this is the biggest issue I'd say with our back line is, in theory, if everyone's playing their game, they're good. But everyone in the back line always has mental lapses. We've seen it a lot of times this year from Nuhu. We've seen it many times from Alex Roldan. Again, this is in a literal tier of most the least. Nuhu, Alex Roldan, from Reagan, from Yamar, even Yamar last game. Less so by Yamar, little more so by Reagan, a little bit more so with Alex, and a lot so with Nuhu. I think midfield was solid this game. Again, I don't have many complaints from Christian and Obed. I think they did a great job. Obed's PK would be, again, it's so funny because these two guys are so good, but both of them such ass cheeks at PKs. Like literal cheeks at PKs. Like they are straight haram at penalty shootouts. Then when it comes to the offense, Morris, outside of his goal,
my problem is we can't blame the attack for this game. Like, we put up 7 goals in the last 2 games and lost the series.
But okay, I understand this. I agree. But I'm not talking about game 2. That's not my point. I'm talking about just this game. But
3 goals, the 3 goals should put you through. Yeah, 3 goals should put you through.
But it didn't. That's my point. But it didn't.
It should. So that's what I'm saying. We cannot blame the attack for this game when we are putting up 3 goals on the road at Minnesota.
But the thing is when you're up,
put 3 goals at Minnesota should be the attack did their job. We should not be giving up 3 goals when they're a man down.
No,
we cannot blame the strikers for this game.
I agree with you. I'm not blaming the strikers, but at the end, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying overall, Morris didn't have a good game. Also shouldn't have taken a penalty. Yes, he scored. But again, he didn't look great throughout large stretches of this game.
And I just think I think it'd be wrong of us to be slandering the attack when we lose in PKs 3-3 on the road at Minnesota. Up a man. There is no they did their job, and I'm just not willing to argue that. It's the fact that we are giving up 3 goals when 2 of them when they are a man down is the problem. And that's it.
I agree, but disagree with you because the thing is there's context behind this game. We were already up 2-0 before the red card. We were only able to muster up 1 goal when they went down to 10 men for 60 minutes. That's my issue I have is. We should be
doing that. But 3 goals on the road, there is unacceptable that we are giving up that lead. So I don't know. And yes, we do 100%. Like, especially that chance from Rusnak, those balls across the box, we should be putting those away. But if you would have told me before this game that we got 3 goals, I'd be like, oh, sweet. We won this game 3-1. But clearly not enough, I guess.
What do you think about the subs?
I think it's so hard because he put Rothrock in right before their second goal, right before, so it was 2-1. At that stage, I'm okay with Rothrock going in because I know that Schmetzer trusts Rothrock more defensively, right? Like, you know that you can get more from him both ends of the ball. Georgie not going in until
what, 86th minute? Yeah.
Says the notes 89th. That seems wrong. Anyway, he should not have been on her. When that game goes 2-2 and you know that they have momentum, Georgie is a player that brings momentum. He creates momentum. And I think he should have got on there. I know that he wanted to play Kent, but Georgie needs to be on a little bit earlier.
I think Kent was just, I don't blame him for bringing on Kent, but the only problem I had is he looked rusty. I don't think he had a bad game. He just looked rusty.
I will say, if you're Schmetzer, like, going through your head, if you looked on that bench, you're like, who's not going to have, like, who is this moment not going to be too big for? You have to think Kent.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That I can respect 100%.
No, again, I don't have a problem with it either. I just thought Kent would have a bigger impact, but at the same time, we have to think about he was rusty throughout the match. So I didn't like the Rothrock sub. I would have brought on Rothrock later. I would have reversed Georgie and Rothrock's subs. I'll give Brian this. I did really like the Thomas sub. 100%. I really like the Thomas sub. And I feel bad because I do think, no, I don't feel bad because I think most people know. I think Thomas had a good game. He saved 2 penalties, even with, we can't forget, I believe him jamming his finger. Still made 2 PK saves. But we shouldn't have let it go all the way to the goalkeepers. That's my problem, is we should have never happened. So then what does this series come down to? Everyone in the chat, please add on to this. What does this series come down to? If you were to point the finger and be like, this is what we should have done better. This was something we could have addressed and we could have done better.
Like, I'm literally just a broken record at this point. Taking our foot off the gas. We had 2 games. We were able to come out with one of them with a win, but we weren't able to just keep that winning mentality of when you are winning, you keep going at them. You keep going at them, and you do not get complacent. You don't switch off. Set pieces, half the problem when you get scored on a set piece is just mental error. That half a second you switch off. And we saw that twice. Even Rusnak's missed shot. That's just coming half a second. You're letting your brain switch off. That's an easy tap in. The moment just being just slightly too big, which is so crazy for such a veteran team. But I just think that's really what cost us this game.
For me, I think what cost us the game, I'm looking at it in a different perspective, is we don't have big game players anymore. We need to stop relying on these players that we think are big game players that are not big game players. Fry is not the same guy he used to be. I'm not blaming these people per se, but Fry is not the guy he once was. I think he had his last hoorah against LAFC in the playoffs. Morris, yes, he scored a couple of goals, but like, it was for large parts of the game, wasn't able to contribute, in my opinion. Rusnak, yes, had a nice goal, but wasn't able to get the team over the edge that we've seen many of the big players be able to do. We bring on Rothrock to try to change the game. Didn't make a big difference. We need to, like, there needs to be a refresh from sure, with Thomas, from new signings, a multitude of things. So that's just my take. That's what I think cost us, is the things that we have talking about, the broken record stuff you talked about, J. Ross. That is what's cost us. The league is evolving. The teams are adapting. Teams in MLS are getting better, getting stronger DPs, getting a variety of talent, ideas, tactics from across the board. Not all because he's a tough kid or all because he's Seattle. None of this shit. They're getting players that are top quality. Look at all the teams remaining in the playoffs. They all have some crazy X factor players. De La Vega was starting to bud into that. But unfortunately, he got hurt. But water is wet. De La Vega has suffered so many injuries. He has now been here for 2 years. You've had 3 transfer windows to address that, to have other players to fill in if that is the case. And you don't want to do anything about it. You don't want to change anything. Like, again, just like I said, this reminds me a lot of the 2015 Dallas match. That was the last hoorah for that group of players. In my opinion, this should be the last hoorah for the Rusnaks, the Morrises. Keep one of them if you want. De La Vega's going to miss 1/3-ish of the start of the next season.
If we keep him.
If we keep him.
Yeah.
Like,
we'll see.
Our three DPs, the biggest problem I have with them is De La Vega, great talent, great player. He's just injured too much. Morris, I think he's a combination of both. Injured now way too much. The legs are gone. His strongest attributes of being quick is gone. And he's not clinical enough. Rusnak, better of the three, but not highest paid player worthy, where he's going to do what Nico Ladero did. Grab the team by the scruff of the neck. Make things happen. That's my problem. That's what cost us tonight. And yes, Brian did Brian things where maybe he could have done some subs better. He could have made some slight changes. But geez, like but the personnel on the team is if I'm going to point the finger and be like, you know what? This is what effed us over. That is what it is. And Barry, shout out to you for another $10 donation. Shout out to everybody on the stream too. Quick intermission. Guys, if you're new to the channel, we're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We have lots of amazing content coming this off season. So you guys got to be subscribed. We have actually a big video coming out with a player on the team. J. Ross was there for it. He helped out. We recorded it. It's going to actually be a really fun video. So make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe. We'll leave the floor I'll let you also, J. Ross, give your final thoughts about what I said. And now let's leave the floor to everybody here, our members, our subscribers. You guys now chime in with everything we talked about and we'll give you our thoughts. But J. Ross, while they do that, what's your final takeaways from everything that I finished off with?
Well, shout out to this one Minnesota fan who was just flaming us in the comments. Like, I respect the play. I mean, fair play. I mean, you won. You know what I mean?
Bum's too busy making YouTube video. It's funny because I've actually been I've been pretty nice to Minnesota. Honestly, I have no beef with Minnesota. Really, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it. Anyway, so I will say what is nice. Digress. Yeah. What is nice though about this team, as much as a lot of the complaints we have, vented the last 38.5 minutes, we are in a spot where we do have a good core to build off of. Like, it's not like we need to tear down the whole team and start from scratch. We have so many guys in this team that belong on an MLS Cup contender. I'm not even gonna go through them all because there's a ton of them. We are just a couple roster changes away from being a legit team.
But they have to. They're not, and they have to be big roster decisions. Not in regards to we have to do a lot, but they are big decisions.
Exactly. But it is a very, very big piece for the Sounders that going into this offseason, there's a lot of positions across this field where Craig Weibel, whoever's making the decisions, doesn't even have to, bat an eye. There are so many teams in this league who would kill to have some of the players in the squad that we have. And now we're able to focus in on whatever we decide we're going to go make that big splash, whether it be a flashy winger, big striker, something like that. And we're also in a spot where we've been able to produce players like Obed, where if we play our cards right, we could have some pretty good cash inflow this offseason, be able to plug someone in that midfield and easily go invest somewhere else. So I actually think, especially if we have some new investors coming in, which I'm not going to go on the whole rant about relocating the Sounders right now, because I already,
we did a video on that. Just watch it.
Yeah. But the plus side of that will be is some of the names being thrown around, they're being brought in to get more cash to this team. So as much as right now I'm very pissed off, and as a Seattle sports fan in general, I am depressed. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully,
no, it's
we
not
are in a
doom
good
and
spot
gloom.
going forward, but it sucks right now.
No, it's again, but it's not doom and gloom. Like I'm not like, oh fuck, I'm gonna whimper in my cornflake. It's just frustrating. That's what it is. It's just frustrating because someone brought up. So Alex, shout out to Alex. Maybe tell the coach it's okay to sub out Jordan and Albert. I've talked about this in a few videos, but everybody think about everyone talked about the peak of this season. What was the peak of this season? Leagues Cup. Who were two players that were not contributors or didn't play. Morris didn't play at all in Leagues Cup. Albert didn't play for most of Leagues Cup. And guess what? We saw the most joyous, best version of the Sounders we hadn't seen in years without two of our DPs, the two highest paid players on the team. Does that not speak volumes in itself that we saw the best version of the Sounders without them two? And on top of that, add a little sprinkle, Andrew Thomas replacing Fry.
The biggest thing I think it is just like I've seen it in the chat is kind of when we have these younger guys playing, the Sounders just have that energy. They have that, that eagerness to go prove themselves. A lot of this team doesn't really have that. And so you see like in a Leagues Cup final, a guy like Dayro, a guy like Andrew Thomas, these names that they need to go achieve something. They're trying to go make their name. Even Obed, he's playing for something so much bigger right now. And you can feel that energy in the team. And this series, you didn't really feel that. So I just feel like there's that gap of during that stretch, you could really feel that pride. And as much as I'm not going to say as much as you and Brody hate on a guy like Paul Rothrock, you do have that feeling when he's playing of he needs to make something happen because he hasn't earned what some of these other guys in the MLS in this team have earned.
Especially and early on. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Like that's why the fans love him because he clearly cares so much. And I'm not saying that some of those older guys, Morris, all the older guys clearly really do care about Seattle. But when you've been doing it for so long, it does get hard to do some of the little things. And I just wonder if some of these younger guys are still excited enough to do all these little things.
And that's what you talked about it, the little things that's what makes the difference. Because the thing is with Minnesota is they had that chip on their shoulder of like 2020. Sounders are always the bogey team. Like we can never beat them. We can never do it. We can never have the big moment against Seattle. You could see it with St. Clair. You could see it with Pereira. You could see it with their head coach. That's why they're willing to do the little thing. That's why when it looks like they were down and out, they were able to dig themselves out of it because they've been there.
Let's go back to what you've been saying. That 2016 run. What did the Sounders do? Dug ourselves out of a pretty freaking big hole. And that was honestly, for as good as the Sounders were, part of it was the Sounders never had that sense of being comfortable. Ladero, Rui Diaz, they weren't comfortable. They were always trying to get that next step above.
Ladero in 2016.
Yeah, but I meant that. I meant that era, that whole stretch of the best Sounder. They never felt that. Okay, we're comfortable where we are. You never saw. But also, if it was 3-0.
To add on to that too, it's maybe that South American mindset too, because of the way they grow up, the way of their lifestyle, to have these opportunities, to have these moments.
But I still think there's plenty of guys across the MLS who are born and raised in the MLS who you can have that feeling from. And I'm just worried. It feels like a repeated theme in this team where. You might disagree with me, but we have the talent to do so much better than we did this year, and we just don't. And it's frustrating because that's the Sounders' MO when so much of Seattle became in love with this team was no matter how many times the Sounders were down and out, they never had the thought of, we're done. And when the Sounders are up big, they never had the thought of, we're done. They always just kept pushing. There was never a game, score could have been 3-0. You didn't see Ladero walking around. Sorry. You didn't see any of our squad rotation guys walking around. They really did feel like every second was life or death.
I mean, but think about it. The proof is in the pudding. There was actually multiple games throughout the span of 2017 to 18 where we were down by 1 goal in the 90th minute, by 3 goals, by 4 goals, and we came back.
Yes, and that's obviously, okay, like different scenario. We're up in this game, but it's the same sort of sense where you can never be comfortable. This is not 1997 MLS where the bottom end of your roster are borderline dentists. This MLS is, as much as people want to hate on it, MLS is legit. You cannot, you don't have room to breathe. Other teams get paid to play too, and even in a game, no matter what the situation is, even up a man, cannot be comfortable in the MLS. And yes, okay, I agree with this too. We do not have that clutch factor. We just don't. We have a lot of guys who are legit good, great MLS players, but we don't have that guy who, when you're on the other side of the field, you're like, oh, do not let him have a shot in the 90th minute. When we were in our prime, when you were an FC Dallas, you were a whoever, and you saw Rui Diaz, you saw Ladero wind up near the box whenever it was close to crunch time, you turn the TV off. And we don't have that now.
And this is what I think is what cost us, is things like this. But again, broken record shit, man. We've talked about it. We've said it. I mean, guys, from all of our points, what else do you guys want us to talk about to close off today's stream? Then we've pretty much covered everything. I mean, season's over. Kind of feels surreal, especially, for how up and down that game was.
I don't know. It's probably I'm the most delusional, most positive fan of this crew. I thought we were going to pull it off. Even when we were losing, I texted my buddy and I was like, we're going to score. Like, this game is not ending 3-2. But I don't know. And in terms of all these chats talking about who we should sign, I feel like we're going to save that to be a video, because if we're going to talk about names we can target, we're going to be here for hours and hours and hours. And believe it or not, but on a Saturday night, I do have places to go besides my monitor.
You do, J. Ross?
Okay, maybe not. We'll see. But there's a lot of sports on.
No, but
there's a lot of MLS to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. We'd rather like research it, look into it, give you guys like. Remember during the summer transfer window, even though sadly it all didn't come to anything because we didn't make any signings. Brody did an in-depth video talking about positions of need and players to sign. We will run that back. We're planning on doing 2 videos talking about that early on in the transfer window, near the back half of the transfer window. So this is another good point too. This should be kicked in by the offseason.
So let's think about, we could have this kick in. If we play our cards right, we can get some money for Obed, which Obed, we love you. If you don't leave, we're okay with that too, but we need money. That's so much money for us to go play with, where even if we don't get the new ownership in to pump some more cash flow in,
we should be able to still make a signing.
Let's be pissed off for like a week. I just recovered from the Mariners, so I don't want to go through this again. But be pissed off for a week, our grumpy videos, and then realize this is a really good chance for the Sounders to really go back to being the Sounders we know and love.
That's exactly what I was going to say too. This game was a
microcosm.
Microcosm. I've actually never heard that word before, of the entire season, dropping late points. Big word there, Barry. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man.
You know what?
Sell Obed, absolutely. I mean, as you said, even if we don't get that new ownership addition bump money, we should still have play. The problem is not. I actually don't even think it's the money; it's the roster flexibility. That's always the Craig Weibel fucking classic.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Chat, what's your thoughts on this statement? I love him to death. I love him when he's fit. The youth teams that I work with, they all love him. I'm kind of wondering if De La Vega's gone.
Interesting.
The more I think about it, I'm like, that'd be a very MLS-esque move to have. That's kind of like the archetype of a guy who can never get going, and we don't
forget Atletico Madrid, PSG, or Botafogo were interested in him.
But it'll be interesting because I really, I'm not saying I want this to happen, but I could really see us cutting ties with De La Vega, and that would put us in having a DP spot with the money we have. Wow, English is hard coming down from a game like that. But with the money we could have, like I said, the Sounders could be in a spot where we actually might want to be excited this offseason. And guess what? I'm going to be excited, and then I'm probably going to get heartbroken. But it's okay.
I was going to say too, from the 3 DPs, Della Vega would be the one I'm least inclined to sell. Yes, I would be happy that that spot is open. But the problem is Della Vega's wages are actually not that high for a DP. I think he's 5th highest in our roster salary. That's the crazy part too. For me, I would easily let go of the other 2 before I let go of Della Vega, but I agree with you too. I mean, if Brody was here, dude, he would like start revving his engine and start heading to your house for saying that.
Oh, I actually think he probably is. That's why he's on the stream.
Yeah, that is why. Because he heard you say that. He's like, all right, I'm fucking buckling in here, boys. But I don't care what. It's evident who needs to go, who needs to stay. Like, we'll obviously do a video talking about the contracts too are going to be up. We're actually going to probably do a video talking about that tomorrow or something along those lines. But there's got to be big decisions. The way you can make moves happen, the problem, I don't think less so is money. I think more so is roster flexibility. You're going to have to make a big daddy decision and let some players walk, let some players sell, or even in the craziest realm of possibilities, terminate a fucking DP deal. Because we can't bring anyone in without any roster flexibility.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we go with. One thing I think that we need to say, Stephen Fry, we love you. Goated run. I feel like last time possibly seeing him, it's a shame if we don't say that. So give some applause to the GOAT. But I think
the race has been ran.
Yeah, this might be a passing of the torch. We love Stephen Fry. We love Wrinkle Wednesdays. That just I just want to get that off the chest. You know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that. Time to take GG's in the chat.
But the thing is, like, objectively, GOAT Sounders goalkeeper, one of the best in MLS history.
You could argue greatest ever Sounders player.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that needs to be brought up for a game like this. Like, he's in the chat. Like, if you were to make a Mount Rushmore of MLS goalkeepers purely off of MLS,
oh yeah, he's like number 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Depends on.
And so, as much as we've talked about Thomas, like the stuff that he has done for this team, I mean, like going back, arguably the biggest moment in club history, in the biggest game, that 2016 final, like the save around the world. Don't bring up other names right now. We're talking about Fry. We're not talking about Nick Armando.
We're not talking about that midget, bro. We're talking about Stephen Fry right now.
Oh.
Yes. All right, cool. Then I guess we'll just kind of end it here, guys. I think a 50-ish minute stream was good. Boys and girls, if you guys, again, are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We can only get there with your guys' help. We actually have another Minnesota fan that just
let's pause that. Hey, we already talked to the last guy. I respect the play. Good luck. Respect to you guys. Respect to you guys for, grinding through it. Good luck against San Diego. Good luck. If you're playing Portland, you all of a sudden gained a bunch of fans. So we'll be rooting for you. But, we'll see. Fair play.
Yep. You were complaining so bad last game. What do you mean we were complaining? We won the last game, did we not? All right, nonetheless, let's not digress. Guys, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe. Guys, after the stream ends, drop your guys' comments because this does become a video. To everyone watching this as a video, like, subscribe, and we hope you all have a lovely day.